seated just for a second, but I'll gavel us in. The reason why I asked that we stay seated is because we're here on a Tuesday. It's the Tuesday after Memorial Day. And I just thought that it would be prudent of us to take a second and realize that we're here on Memorial Day in recognition of those who aren't here so that we can be. We have a system of government that operates in a way unlike any other in the world, for better or for worse, and that is because those who are braver than I were willing to give the ultimate sacrifice for this country. So I just think before we stand for the pledge, or as we do it, we should take a moment to recognize that. So I guess it's going to be my suggestion that we take just a brief moment of silence, and then we'll stand for the pledge. All right. Welcome with the Pledge of Allegiance then. Neil has suggested we move it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I know. Don't ask Tarek. Well, if Tarek had his druthers, he'd put in a few space heaters.
Yes.
Ron fidgeted with it, so I don't know what's happening there.
Okay. All right. Council activity reports. I don't have any committee reports to share, but I will just talk about the fact that 4 of us were able to go up and tour the manufacturing facility of a company that's looking to locate here in Painesville. We have been asked not to share the name of the company simply because they are applying for some state funding and financial resources, and that process is a confidential, competitive process. So they've asked that we not share their name, but they are looking at coming here to town. They would be staffing about 100 people per phase of their development, with an ultimate 3-phase development looking at about 300 jobs here in Painesville, multi-million dollars in construction and expansion here in town. So this would be a great thing if we can make it happen. Tarek has been working hard to negotiate things between the owner of the property that they're looking at along with the owner of the company. And it sounds like they at least have a handshake deal. Hopefully they're able to finalize that in the next few weeks. But I would say that after looking at this company, I have been very impressed with their facilities. I thought they ran a top-notch operation. I am impressed with the fact that they are family-owned and they are family-oriented. We talked a lot about their employment practices and how they keep and retain employees, and that's through both competitive wages and competitive benefits that acknowledge that people have lives outside of the workplace. So there's a lot of talk about how they don't like their employees working weekends and work around shifts so that they can accommodate childcare and things like that. I think this would be a phenomenal asset to our community if we could bring it in, and we could get that here, not just for the tax and revenue growth, of course, but also I think that this is a great company that's got nothing but growth in its future. So I'm excited for them. We did that was up north last week. It was published as a meeting, so the information's out there. But I think that would be just a great asset. That's all I have. Neil.
The 14th of May, we had Stearns County Municipal League here at the Legion. The biggest topic was the new jail and possibly a 3/8 tax cent increase to be voted on in November to pay for that baby. The 15th, I had the Green Roof meeting, and the biggest thing there was they have a grant that they got for audio updates, a big screen TV, and replace the oldest handicap van. The 17th, attended the Dollars for Scholars at Budby's Resort. They recognized all the donators and the youth that got the scholarships, and I was there for the Kathleen Herzberg scholarship, and Isaac Leeser got the scholarship. Well, he seems like a nice young man. 17th was the At noon, the library designs from North Dakota State students. I believe there were 7 of them, and we looked at them. Some were pretty interesting. The 20th was a Centricare conference at Budbee's, talking about all the money they spent on their updates and future improvements, what they might do with the old nursing home section. And the 22nd, like the mayor summed it up pretty well, we went to look at this company, and I think everybody was very excited that they may be coming. The last thing I have has to do with Memorial Day. My Army unit, the 825th Supply, met with our oldest 20-year member in Morris, Art Hesse. He's 91 years old. We try to always have breakfast with him the week of Memorial Day. Still living alone, doing very well.
I will add, regarding the Centricare thing, Megan, not to cut you short, but I did also attend that with Tarek as well, and Jean was there. In addition to talking about their plans for the old nursing home, they also shared a lot about their new medical school that they're partnering with the University of Minnesota to develop in St. Cloud. Really promising opportunity. They're looking at putting 24 students into the first year class, with students starting next year. And the purpose, of course, is that if you train doctors in greater rural Minnesota, then hopefully those doctors will stay in greater rural Minnesota. That is something, it's the first new medical school, and I think they said 53 years in the nation, is going to be here locally, Stearns County and St. Cloud. So that is phenomenal and should hope to increase our access to quality physicians. So, Megan.
Okay. I attended the library preview the vision as well. That was very interesting. We had a special park board meeting where we discussed the Amby Park shelter. That'll come up later on the agenda. I attended and donated at the Red Cross blood drive at the Methodist Church. That seemed to go very well. And like most of us, I visited the factory as well. So I'm very cautiously optimistic about that.
Thank you. Jean.
Well, I also did the Stearns County Municipal League with Neil and Tark, and then the library, where we got to see the plans, which were really interesting, and the Centricare lunch, and the trip up north.
Great.
So, that's it.
Thank you. Paul.
I had a planning board meeting a week ago yesterday, and that's on the agenda tonight.
Okay. All right, department heads, Ron.
All right, thank you. First of all, the Water Festival was held May 17th. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in that and helped out there. CP Rail and MnDOT, they'll be meeting next week right on the rail crossing site. They're looking at upgrading that crossing in 2025. We did a water leak survey and did the entire town and did find one major leak, roughly between 10 to 15,000 a day that we were losing. Let's see, the downtown flags will be, or not the flags, but banners will be put up this week yet. The RV and the compost both seem very heavy usage this weekend. Somebody told me at one point there was like 9 campers packed up at the RV dump. So, concerts in the park starts July the 11th. June 5th we have our alley improvement meeting here from 4:30 to 6. That's all I have. Thank you.
I can confirm that it was indeed busy at the RV site all weekend long. I don't know that I ever saw 9 of them back there. It was a constant in and out. So, Tarek.
All right, most of what I participated in was mentioned, but I'll say it again. We had a special park and tree, which we'll be talking about later. I did also attend the Little Falls tour, the Centricare event at Bugbee Resort with you guys, the library lunch and reception. And then also, because we have to go back 3 weeks this time, we also had the Stearns County Muni League that we were hosting this year in Paynesville. We had the lodging tax and the planning board meeting as well. And then finally, we did interviews for administrative assistant and liquor store. So, hopefully we have a good pool of applicants and we'll see what comes out of it.
Yes, the lodging tax meeting would have been in this. Yeah, so I also had the lodging tax meeting. I think the biggest thing that this council should know from that, the question was raised, what information the chamber should be sharing or the lodging board should be sharing to the council. And I let them know that certain members of this council and the public seem to think that the lodging tax serves as nothing but to offset the budget of the chamber and to eliminate or minimize some of their costs. There was some pushback on that, and I said, look, these are the things that you need to be aware of as the public perception. We talked about how that's not necessarily true because of the things that we're doing to help bring business into the environment and things like that. There was discussion from that about possibly, I don't know how it would be feasible, but some members want that tax or the tourism tax board to be split off from the chamber entirely. But certainly that group is working to develop and promote tourism in Painesville. So, but they know that that is the perception, and that if that perception is wrong, then things need to be done to address it. We'll just lay it out. So, that's all I have for that. Right. We don't have anybody here for the open forum, unless Kristen wants to come out and yell at us, but I'm guessing not. So we have some minutes on page 1 of our agenda, along with the vouchers on page 2, totaling $241,288.18. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, or does anybody want something pulled?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Soini, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Brick. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Carries. Right. Park reached out to me about the lead gas contamination analysis. Mark Tuso, who was the hydrologist that first sort of raised this issue again with his lawsuit against MPCA, reached out to Tarek earlier today and saying he has some questions for the engineering firm that ran this. So I told Tarek that we should set up a meeting with him and discuss it. He wanted to come and talk to us tonight. I said, before we do that and everything, let's get everybody with the engineers together. So we're going to do that and then bring it back at the next meeting or the one after. Yep. The Ampey Park Shelter then, page 6. Ron, Chuck, Tarek, Megan, somebody want to talk to us about this?
I guess I can start. First of all, as noted, we did have a park board meeting and they did make a recommendation. I'll just run through the same sheet here on page number 7. The construction or the base bid with the allowances from the DNR. What that is, if you look on page 8, the deductions that they're allowing are the sidewalk from South Street all the way up around the parking lot to the shelter. Or not to the shelter, but just to the parking lot. And those deductions amounted to $42,495 there. So if you're wondering where that came from. And then in column, or the second column there, that is the contractor's cost savings. That is on page 9. And what they had recommended was removing the interior wall finish and going to a burnished finish, which would still be very nice. Use a 26 gauge steel on the roof and rather than a 22, removing the skylights, eliminating the wrap on the posts, removing the picnic tables from the bed, eliminating the cabinets in the kitchen except for one, which I think would be fine, and eliminating the floors in the kitchen and the bathroom to be polished. And those deductions added up to $72,464. And so that's where we come up with the total, or with the engineering, is the $761. The third column here, this is what the park board had recommended. It includes the other deducts plus removing the pergolas and going with a traditional truss roof. And the addition that you see laying on your desk, this one here, this is what that design would look like. Now Tarek had put some additional pictures, and I think on the pergolas are on the second page. Those would be removed. And there's no doubt that the traditional roof, we would want to cover it up in there so it would not have that open look. It would have more of the look as you currently see down in the community park. So that is the difference. But the park board did make that recommendation to go with A and B, plus removing the pergolas and go with the traditional roof, and that cost will be roughly in that $720,000. On the revenue end of things, we do have the grant of $255, received donations of the 82, pledged donations of 61, our CIP, plus the $74,000, which we've already paid. And the other one, we do have $29,000 in our park dedication. If we take the grants plus the received and donations, we have $400,000. And part of the discussion at the park board was we sure don't want to lose that. So total expenses then on the bottom, revenue, on the first one, we would be $285,000 short, the second one, $212,000. And under the third one, which is what was their recommendation, would be roughly $173,000. And then on the end one, if we also remove the kitchen, that would be an additional $85,000. So, I know it's a tough decision, so I'll try to provide as much information as I can.
I don't think any of us want to remove the kitchen.
No.
That would defeat the purpose
That's
of, yeah.
kind of what the. park
That I
board
think we
felt.
can pretty much forget,
Yeah, that's why we didn't recommend that at the park board.
yeah.
And if I can, oh, sorry.
What we've heard from a lot of people when we did, the park surveys and when we just talked to people around town, is that they are looking for a new building, a new park to rent for events. So, and that with the, growth of the soccer program and them not having an adequate shelter or bathrooms out there, we're kind of hoping to combine the two. And that's what I think we're hoping to do here. So no, I don't think the kitchen removal is on the table at this time, certainly. But that's kind of why we went with the third option, because it was, still included the kitchen, so it would have the space to rent for people for parties.
All right, if I can add to that too. Yeah, if we start removing too much like the kitchen, I think it kind of throws everything off and it won't have the look and feel we're trying to give, especially, that's why I showed the picture of the pergola. I mean, we remove that, I mean, you kind of have a open space and not really, it lessens your shaded area, so. I wasn't for that, but the park board, of course, feel differently because they're trying to reduce costs. I just didn't want to reduce costs too much. The big question comes into how are we going to pay for this difference? To pay for the difference, there are really three options, which is for you guys to contemplate and decide on. Option number one is to take that amount. Oh, first of all, I'm still seeking out donations and sponsorship from companies and entities around town. I have a couple of meetings lined up for this coming week, and we'll see how it goes. And then, of course, we are, and I know Ron tried reaching out to the soccer club, it's just that we haven't had much luck getting a hold of them. I'm pretty sure they would like to help out somehow, but it's just that we haven't had that conversation with them yet to see how they'd like to participate. But the three ways to cover the difference, number one is to take out of reserves. That's easily done, however, I don't really like that option of taking out of reserves. The next two options are financing the difference, and we can finance externally through a local bank, or we can finance internally through borrowing from the general fund. And I guess I'm more leaning towards if we were to borrow from the general fund. Belinda and I discussed it today, and we think that's doable, provided that we have a solid commitment that we have a payment plan to show the auditors that this is being paid back as a loan. And of course, as any other donations come through, obviously they'll go to pay back the general fund and kind of reduce that outstanding balance the park fund owes. So those are the three options. That's what we can decide on today if you want.
Derek? We put, is it 40,000 a year in our park?
45.
45. Could like 25 of that be used for
That was the idea, yeah.
repayment for up to 10 years or whatever?
Yeah, that was the idea.
And if we went internally, could it be interest-free or
Yes,
not?
it can be.
Well, that helps me with my decision.
I kind of don't want to see the pergola go away, and it's because that area is all sun. I mean, there's no trees, there's no nothing there. And we need as much that we can get some shade and makes it more user-friendly.
I agree with
For
you.
that $12,000, I think we should leave it.
Well, the difference between 212 and 173 is like 37,000.
Yeah.
It's basically 1 year.
1 year, okay.
You know, and like we've all said, do it now or pay double later.
And if we're gonna do it right.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
I'd rather do the second column, I mean, the one that's 212 that we owe.
Well, from what I've seen, I'll make that a motion to do the 212,943.60.
I would like to
Yeah.
add some things.
Can we
Well, I'll
get-
second it so we can have a discussion.
Okay, so there's a motion by Hertzberg to approve the park shelter going forward with the Ampey Park Shelter. The second column, which is on page 7, leaves a remaining expense of $212,943.60. The motion was seconded by Gene. Discussion over to Paul.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got two parts to this. One of them was, this one's gonna go towards Chuck. Is that the mobilization of $15,000? Does that seem high?
No, I mean, it's pretty consistent with what we can see.
My thought was they're not really going far.
Yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game. I mean, contractors with different things, you know, maybe it's their subs, you know, there's a lot of subs on this project.
Okay.
that'll come in. But no, I would say that it's not high based on the overall cost of the project.
Okay, that was the first question I had. Well, yeah, part of that. The next thing is I agree with, we should keep the picnic tables because without them, it's really gonna be nothing. Pergolas, that was probably the least of my worries, but again, good point, Gene. And with the kitchen, that's gonna open it up down the road. And if we, come back in 3 years, time from now, and add on to it, it's just gonna be more expensive by then.
Yeah.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
When we got to discuss this, a lot of this, the discussion around this is, you know, we're doing this for soccer fields and soccer club, and, you know, the bigger picture is that we envision this being a multi-use park, especially with the new development going in that area. You know, we do have plans, and I know Megan has looked into some playground, doing a playground, and I know when we're doing the plan early on with Chuck, we also envision having kind of a walking path going all the way around the park, so, you know, people can use it for walking purposes as well as the playground, so,
Isn't that in our park comp plan?
yeah, it's in the
Yeah.
plan.
That's what I thought. I remember, when that park was developed, we had all kinds of plans for it.
So, I mean, obviously, the main focus right now is there are soccer fields there being used, but of course, we envision this being a multi-use park, especially for the residents in that area.
How much shade are we gaining or losing here, what we're talking about, Ron? If we change it like we had discussed at the park board? What, with our recommendation versus, between the second and third column, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Taking out the pergolas, obviously you will lose some, but, you know, exactly, I think it's very hard to say. Chuck, maybe you got a better answer.
I mean, you looking from an area perspective?
I guess, or just, you know, how many people can sit on, to give me a people perspective.
Quick calculation. How much area is it?
The people are gonna be sitting under the shelter, not on, you know, the pergola, that's just kind of a walkthrough. To me, the pergola is more of an aesthetic thing than it is anything else.
Of course, you could put some benches in there, so people,
I mean, you could, but if it's open, then I'm just questioning the shade.
So like if, this unit is rented and we have rain or nasty weather, what happens?
well, that's this outside park.
Because the kitchen ain't big enough to put people in and stay out of the weather.
No, they would have to go into the restrooms.
Yeah.
You know, those are
And
blocked.
and a complete rain out, it would, I don't know if we'd have to have a refund for that, you know, like the Veterans Park, they can go inside and we don't have to refund. That's my only concern on renting a,
Well, people use gazebo park.
Yeah, just
Right,
nothing there.
same as that.
I mean, we talked, it was not a unanimous decision by any means at the park board to, you know, and it's just hard, and we talked about that too. This is a huge number. And none of us like it, and the public isn't gonna like it, and the ones who already know about it certainly don't, but it's just kind of, we said that at the park board, you know, people say, well, you should be able to go to the movies for $10. Well, you should, but you can't. And you should be able to build a park shelter for much, much less than this, or at least it feels like you should, but you can't. You know, it's what things cost. And I think we just struggled with the line of, you know, how much is too much? And, you know, can we knock it down more? But we weren't happy about it. But the public wants that park developed, and of course, they're gonna want it developed for much more cheaply than is possible, but, yeah, so it was a tough decision.
I think the residents over there not just want it developed, but I think they deserve to have it developed.
I
And we're
agree,
getting more development.
We are getting more
I
development.
agree.
So
I think it's gonna be good.
I have a couple of things. First, I agree entirely, and I'm glad Paul raised it because I was going to. We cannot remove the picnic tables.
No.
Or it just defeats the entire purpose.
Yeah, it sure does.
Well, I don't think it was a forever decision,
I
like.
get that, and
you know,
maybe that's
we'll never have
something,
picnic tables ever.
no, I get that, and maybe that's something where we don't include it with the initial bid, and we look at that as more of a community fundraiser thing, where sponsor a picnic table or something, like the state fair used to do sponsored benches. But I think by the time this is built, we need to have picnic tables out there. It can't be build the building and then fill it with picnic tables in 5 years.
Right.
It needs to be, even if we don't approve it today, there needs to be a plan so that there's seating out there by the time we're done building this. That's my thought. I'm also curious on the steel roof, the 22 instead of or 26 instead of 22, with the increased hail and severe weather that we're having. Are we going to end up just putting 22 gauge on it in 5 years when it's damaged by hail? Should we just eat that cost now?
Personally, I think the 26 gauges is fine.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, that's coming from the contractors too. So, I mean.
If you have hail damage, you're gonna have
overkill.
the insurance will pay for it.
We'll have insurance, but are we replacing it then with 26 and the insurance would pay for 22 or
Yeah.
vice versa?
Yeah.
And then we have to eat the difference. That's what I'm curious about. So,
You're correct on the picnic tables, however, I think we should remove it from the bid and we can direct order them much cheaper.
Well, and we may get businesses willing to sponsor one or something too.
Yeah.
Or people to donate.
People could donate.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Nice
agree.
idea.
I agree with removing them from the bid.
I will send you the link, Ron, but I found a fantastic website where a company takes out-of-service wind turbine blades and converts them to park furniture.
Oh, interesting.
That's
Given the
That'd be cool.
pushback on some of the green energy around here lately, maybe that's something we could utilize there.
Stir the pot. Yeah, I agree. We definitely, you know, and that was never the intention of the park board, that there wouldn't be picnic tables, because obviously those have to be there. It was just that we didn't need them
In the bid.
in the bid,
No, I agree
yeah.
there. We can-
But, you know, I like the pergolas. They've always been part of the plan, but I don't feel that, it's just, they're aesthetic, and I don't feel that you know, it doesn't add much shade wise, and I just, you know, I think it's the preference of the park board that we keep those out.
Cost-wise is so minimal.
I know, but, I mean,
Project.
I don't know, it's 12 grand, it's too much for me, it's too rich for my blood, but that's, you know, that's just me.
I have another.
One vote.
Do any of these developments that possibly may come have park dedication fees?
Yeah, the one out in Furchies would.
Like if we do a project by John Deere, there would be park dedication fee, yes.
Could those go towards this?
It could.
Sure can.
All right.
With that, I think I want to call the question.
Yep, I think that was going to be appropriate. So there was a motion by Hersberg, seconded by Soini. Again, just to restate, if you look at page 7 of your agenda, the motion was to approve the shelter using the second column, which is a total cost of $761,129 minus the expected revenues of $548. The city's going to have to finance a difference of $212,943.60. After this, I'm going to ask for a motion on how we're going to finance this. But for right now, we're just looking at approving that project.
Could we amend that to add removing the picnic tables from the bid, from the,
No, because I think Ron said we can direct order those much cheaper.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right.
So, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No,
Motion does carry 4-1.
I will make the next motion to borrow the money from our general fund interest-free, 10 years max.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hersberg to finance the difference in cost by taking a loan from the general fund to be repaid at a 0% interest rate over the course of 10 years. Correct?
If they can pay it off sooner, that's wonderful.
Give me just a second, please. Okay, motion to finance at 0% for 10 years, funds from the general fund to be repaid to there. Motion was by Hersberg, seconded by Soini. Any discussion on that?
Just one comment maybe on the process, if I could.
Yeah,
We will be, in order to do this, we'll have to award the project based on the as-bid amount, and we'll do a deduct change order to deduct those items out. So there'll be, basically, we'll award the contract, but also simultaneously do a change order to deduct the items we talked. So that will get it down to the amount. I just want to clarify the process.
Okay.
that is helpful. So what you're saying is we might be doing the approval of financing all over again.
No.
No, the amount should stay pretty much the same, but what I'm saying is just from a process perspective, that's the way we have to do it.
Perfect. All right. Discussion on this motion. My only concern is, Tarek, can you weigh in on our reserve limit? I think from our audit presentation a few weeks ago, we were sitting right at about 63%.
Yeah.
This is gonna drop us down probably a good 10%, will it not?
Yeah, it might, but if it shows up as a loan and is paid back.
So I'm just curious, are we creating a flag on our audit where we're gonna say we're not keeping sufficient reserves for an operating level?
No, we won't get to that level where it shows that we're below what our target rate was.
So this is going to take us down, but it shouldn't take us
Yep.
down. Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Any other discussion? All those in favor of self-financing indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. And we will come back with that final order once it's done. Then moving on, Bill Ludwig would like to hire a couple of folks out at the liquor store. You'd be entertaining a motion to hire these individuals, unless Tarek, you want to tell us anything more about it?
No, we did interview them, and yeah, we like these candidates, and we felt that they would be a good fit for the liquor store, and we are recommending them.
Wasn't Donna working there before?
Yes.
Yeah, she's been there before. Looking for motion?
I would entertain a motion.
I will move to hire Donna Potter at grade 1, step 3, $16.64 per hour, and Danielle Cool at grade 1, step 2, sorry, my phone's blinking out here. Step 2 is $16.16 per hour as part-time liquor store clerks up to 39 hours per week, and place Bethany Lindquist on an eligibility list.
We have a motion by Brick as stated on the action sheet. I hear a second from Hersberg. Any
I got
further-
the S all.
Yeah. You heard us from her.
Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Right, we have a couple of firefighters who were interviewed, and we're recommending that they be hired pending their physicals. Anything more we need to know, Tarek?
No, that's it.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion if the council wants to so move.
Well, this sounds good to me, because this gives us 3, and I think that's what he was looking for.
Yeah,
so.
I think that brings them up full.
Yep, that's very good. So motion to hire Joshua Emery, Elizabeth Rothfort, pending a successful physical exam.
I'll second.
Motion by Hertzberg is stated on the action sheet, seconded by Brick. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. All right, satisfying the EDAP loan for Queen Bee's Bar and Grill. This has been paid in full. Hoping to release that mortgage against the property. Tarek, anything we need to know special about that?
Yeah, Queen Bee paid off most of it last year, and, you know, last year when they did paid off most of it, they did say that they're gonna be paying it off early this year. So now they have paid it off, and yeah, we're just looking for mortgage satisfaction for them.
Perfect. get it done. I'd entertain a motion to sign it.
Motion to approve the mortgage satisfaction for Queen Bee's Bar and Grill Incorporated.
Motion by Soini is stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brick. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Nice job, Queen Bees.
Exactly.
Yeah, they paid it off early.
Ron's renting out another airport hangar to a guy I didn't know flew.
This is a storage unit. So yes, this is one of the 3 storage units we have available. There are 2 more that are available, so if anybody wants to rent them, please let us know. They're $125 a month, so.
It's a 1-year lease. Is it just a 1-year lease?
It is a 1-year lease, but it automatically renews the same as the other units would.
So we're looking at approving the lease agreement between the city of Painesville and Steve Whitcomb for the storage unit out at the airport, number 39.
So moved.
Motion by Brick. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hersberg. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. Right. Ron, want to talk to us about the next thing? Want to use the shelter?
Stearns County Soil and Water is looking to do a shoreline restoration bus tour around Lake Coronis and Rice Lake. I guess I'm not certain how many sites they're actually going to stop and look at, but they are charging for that, or for this here. So according to our rules or guidelines we have set up, the council does need to approve this here. Yes, I would sure welcome Stearns County to use it. It should be nice to actually go along with them. They said they may have 1 extra seat. So I was thinking somebody possibly from the environmental committee could possibly join them.
What day is it? July 20? I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't.
Otherwise, I would go, but I cannot. I'm all in favor of this, and I would agree with Ron that somebody should go. I'd entertain a motion on use of the shelter first.
I'll make the motion to approve the Veterans Park Shelter Reservation for Stearns County SWCD Shoreline Restoration Bus Tour, Lake Cronus and Rice Lake on July 23rd from 1 to 9 p.m.
All right, there's a motion by Soini, as stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Thielen. Any further discussion?
I would say that the motion should authorize somebody to give written approval to the use with the charging per our requirements there on the lease.
Okay. So the recommendation from our city attorney is that the motion include written approval. I would say probably from TARC. The council's reviewed it and approved it so that they have that in writing.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Anybody immediately willing to ride along?
That's a long day, 8 hours.
I don't think I can that.
I think
23rd?
it should be somebody that's on that board,
Yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's council, rep, or board member.
So we will,
can volunteer Will to do it.
yeah, there we go. Tarek, do you want to reach out to the board and see if anybody is able to do it?
Yeah.
I would say that the city should pay for it. I don't think we need council action on $10. I would do it if I could. All right, moving on, Town and Country Days Beer Garden. This was brought up last week. Doris approached me after the meeting, thought everything was good to go. We talked about it, and she's got everything put together. Tarek, do you know if we've received all the insurance and all of that stuff?
Supposedly, everything was sent out, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay. Well, I think it's good to go. Belinda will let us know if something is missing, and if there is, then it won't move forward. I'd entertain a motion to allow the beer garden at 605 Lake Avenue, pending proof of insurance and other requirements.
So moved.
Motion by Hersberg, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Thielen, any discussion? I will add, I told Doris last year when she was doing this that I wanted it to either go really well or really poorly. so that we would know relatively easily if we should do it again. I heard 0 complaints. Paul, I don't know if you heard any from an enforcement standpoint. I'm seeing a head shake no. So I think it went well. I think it was well received, and I'm in favor of doing it again. Calling the question, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion carries. All right, then the preliminary plat that Paul was talking to us about earlier. Planning board met to approve the plat, and we would be looking to adopt the resolution of the same, probably recognizing and agreeing with the findings of the planning board.
Do we have to go through the findings?
As I see the resolution, the planning board recommended approval of the plot and that the plot be approved. I don't see that they recommended any modifications to it.
No, there was none.
Yep. So I think that that would be we would check box number A on the top and then box 1A on the bottom half as well.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution 2024-18 preliminary plat of Painesville Solar Farm Plat 1.
A motion by Thielen to adopt the plat. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hersberg. Any further discussion? I will say the only concern I have is who plats things using a Comic Sans font.
Always a concern.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion carries. On to our update. Given things with Washburn Court and some comments that were made to me, I thought maybe we should sit down and join the library board at their next meeting and talk about property and where this is going to go, where we want to look, things like that.
We can't do it on the 13th, that's the parade.
That is correct. We cannot do it on the 13th.
That was a regular scheduled meeting time, that's why.
They're probably going to want to reschedule that.
They're gonna be in the parade, some of the committee, the library, so.
So we probably won't have a quorum anyway.
So how about the 20th, just the following week?
Let me look at my calendar.
When is the LMC?
It should be good.
When is what?
My daily planner's at home.
There are no committee meetings scheduled for that day.
I think, when is LMC?
That might be LMC meeting,
A what?
the League of Minnesota Cities meeting.
No, I thought that's the last week.
It might be. Let me check.
I think that's the 27th and the 28th.
Oh, might be right there.
Yep,
Yeah.
26 to 28.
Okay.
I can't make the 20th.
I can. Except it's my youngest son's birthday.
How about Wednesday, the 19th?
It's Juneteenth. at the
City hall's closed.
So?
Oh, well.
We shouldn't conduct business. The 25th, it's a Tuesday. There are no committee meetings scheduled that day.
I think it's the 25th should be fine.
6 o'clock is good, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, the 25th, but we'll have to run that by the library and see if it works for them.
Yeah.
We should give them 2 dates.
Yeah, I guess whatever you come up with, everybody that can go, just set it up like normal.
I'd
all
say
right, so then we won't set anything here. What we'll do is.
Talk to them.
We'll talk to them, see how they feel, and if there's enough, I'll just call a special meeting. All right,
Don't do the 27th, that's the historical society stuff.
okay. All right, then with that, we have our month-end reports. They're on the city's website. We have our meeting schedules and informational, and then a notice from XL Energy about some public hearings they have. With that, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna be having a float for the parade this year.
Oh, thank you.